Welcome to episode 101. Today I get to talk to Jackson Rayne, performer from the Revollusionist show here in Branson, Missouri. Unique show for this town. Quite unexpected the first time I saw it, actually. Lots of good modern music in there, updated effects, magic like you wouldn't really expect to see here in Branson, Missouri, and I think it's refreshing. Now, Jackson is actually attempting to set a world record this weekend, which we'll talk about. Straitjacket escapes, personal favorite of mine, so be interesting to talk to him. I recommend you go out and check out the show at Music City Center here in Branson, and I think they're performing through the end of the year, and it's definitely worth the trip downtown to check it out. Kind of an exciting year for magic here in Branson. We have lots of new shows. Rick Thomas here from Las Vegas. We have the Revollusionist. Lots of other performers, guest stars coming to Branson here lately, and magic is really being revived here in town. It's been a while, I guess. I know I've been here for 9 years, and told that before I was here, we had some great performers. I remember when I first started here, we had Darren Romeo. Excellent show, one of my favorites. Used to go there quite often, actually. Take out a town guests and friends that visited. I guess he's performing in Pigeon Forge now, which is pretty awesome there. I've seen his promotions and stuff. Get a chance to check out that show. But definitely different than the Revollutionist show that we have here. Different style. And as I said, really unique performances. I think there's 4 or 5 different guys in that show here in Branson, and all of them have their own style, so be sure to check that out. I hope you enjoy this interview we had with him. Jackson's a really nice guy, and I'm sure you'll be seeing a lot of him. We get to talk to him about his time at the Magic Castle as a bartender, a couple other things he had going on. Came here from Vegas, so that's kind of interesting. Lots of performers doing that lately, coming to Branson from Vegas. I know I've talked to a few already, but hope you enjoy the interview. Jackson Rayne. Thanks for listening. Welcome to Branson Network again. This is Christopher James with our friend Jackson Rayne, all the way here from the Revollutionist.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks a lot. You have a big event coming up this weekend, yes?
Yes. Gonna attempt a world record. The most escapes from a straitjacket in 1 hour.
Really? What's the current record?
The current record is 49. It's held out of Europe, actually. So we're going to look to bring the record back to the U.S.
Really? Now, is that 49, like you have to do it consecutively, is that strapping you in and getting out?
Correct.
So you have to get in and out.
Correct. We have one of the dancers in the show. She's also a choreographer, Brooke Mortimer. It's kind of a team thing. She's helping me place the jacket on, secure it, everything, and then I got to get out, and everything's on the clock. So it's a system that we've developed, and we've been rehearsing. And
you would have to, because just getting strapped in takes like 2 minutes.
Well, like one of the rules too is we can slide what we can on, and then still readjust and secure. So that's been part of it too. Is just finding out the rules and what we can do to make it as fast as possible.
Oh, that's cool. So you have to have. So obviously, there's like judges that come to town or something for this.
We'll have an official. We'll have someone there judging it, like just making sure every time it's locked in is good. But we also have video evidence that's also going to go to the offices in London and for Guinness. It'll be a multi-camera thing, so they're going to see everything. There's going to be my chest is going to be measured. I'm going to be weighed on site, everything. Just to make it
Why would they weigh you?
They want to make sure that the straitjacket fits properly. Everything's got to be up to par.
Oh, that's interesting. I actually saw the show where you hang upside down, right?
Did you? Okay, cool.
I saw it a while ago. Now, you've been with the Revollutionist. When did you start with that? Because you weren't there the first time I went to see it.
Correct. My first show there was, I believe it was June 1st. So
June 1st.
I did join just a little bit into the run, and been there since.
Yeah, because I saw it when it first came out, and Brett was there, and he brought that to town, right?
Brett was one of the producers involved.
One of the producers of it, and then they had some changes and stuff go on. But you don't have to wear the makeup or anything in the show. Or
No, I don't wear it. No, I'm not wearing any of the makeup in the show. We've got one guy wearing makeup now. We used to have two guys. And
yeah,
one of the guys that was wearing makeup, he's stoked that he's not anymore. He's kind of, got his own branding going too.
because
So.
it's kind of a unique show for Branson in terms of the music
Yeah.
and people think of Branson. I moved here 9 years ago, and I had never heard of Branson before. I don't know how did you find out about it? Did somebody contact you, or were you looking to come here?
Well, yeah, my home is actually in Las Vegas. That's my home base, and then I tend to travel and tour with my own show and work out of Los Angeles. And I've toured with Spellbound, which didn't run at Harris. We did arenas around Asia, but I was called up about the Revollution. Actually, Brett reached out to me,
really?
and he wanted to see if I want to be a part of this. And I came out here knowing that this would be the foundation for trying to build something very big, and that's what we're trying to do with the Revollusionists in Branson, is create a show that's just different from what's out there.
Yeah, because Branson's changed a lot. When I first came here, it was very country-ish, let's say.
Really?
And it seems like the times are changing a lot. Like we're getting a lot more of the entertainment coming in that you would find like in Vegas and stuff like that, and more up-to-date stuff, let's say. But I remember I think I saw the show the first week or two, and with the music and everything, I thought, this is really different. Like, is this going to last here in town? But you guys have done really well this year. I think I've been to the show 3 times now, and it's different every single time I've seen it. I mean, I haven't seen it most recently since Brett left, and Reza is back. He wasn't there when I was there, but it was just a whole different feel. Now that venue is kind of limiting, is it? I mean, because of the size and the way the theater is set up, it seems like it would be hard to do some of the really big illusions.
It's actually a magic show going on backstage behind the curtain. People have no idea, because it is not a huge backstage area like you would typically like to have with any large scale show, such with big props. But we do. I mean, we find creative ways to move stuff around back there and house stuff, and so far we've made it work, and we're looking to bring in an even bigger finale right now. And
really?
We've been creative in designing how we're going to get that in too. So we're getting a lot of stuff ready for the 2015 season, and it's going to be bigger, better. It's just going to keep growing. So.
Yeah. Magic's really taken an upswing in Branson. There's quite a few shows and stuff now, but you guys definitely have a really unique one now. You do the straight jacket, obviously. That's the big thing. But what other types of routines do you do in the show?
Well, sometimes we mix it up right now. Like my specialty within the art is that I am an escape artist, but we still right now say we're illusionists, and we're, but we focus on our certain things.
Right.
Luca's the close-up guy. Kid's doing the unique kind of magic, and then mine with escape. That's going to be. There's all kinds of stuff. I mean, there's the Jaws, which I'm hanging upside down, the straitjacket, and which you've mentioned. I've got another one, which it's a lock picking demonstration, and I've worked my way through 2 padlocks and some handcuffs, and I try to do that in 60 seconds, basically, because the escape community says it's impossible, and then there's a little bit of a magic ending there, which is fun. And then I do a thumb cuffs routine. And then right now I'm doing a sub-trunk routine as well.
Oh, really?
A metamorphosis where me and the girl, magically just switch places. And so that's and this one we just started doing a couple weeks ago.
Oh, the sub-trunk?
Yeah.
And do you have like your own little spin on that? Because I know you've done some pretty unique things. I read about your underwater escape that you did.
Yeah. Been locked in a coffin, submerged underwater. I'm actually developing 2 different metamorphosis routines right now, which are very unique. As far as I know, no one is doing them in America. There's only they're going to be brand new pieces, and I'd like to get those in for 2015.
Yeah, well, that brings up something that when I first came to Branson, I found it odd that a lot of the shows were similar. And it seemed, everyone warned me. They said, if you put something in your show in like a year or two, you'll see it in other shows if it's unique. Have you had anything like that? I mean,
not yet. We're wondering how many people are going to have dubstep and different styles of music in their show within the next season or two. It'll be interesting to see that happens. What we have had though is we've had a lot of Branson locals come up to us this whole season, and they've said thank you, which has been really, really cool. Like, Branson needs this.
Yeah.
And it's my first season here, and it's just been kind of neat to see that. So you talking about the background of Branson and just kind of what, how it's growing and the changes and with the country to the magic, and
right.
People seem excited about the show and yeah, that differentnoughess. So we'll see.
Right before you were here, were you in Vegas? Was that where you were performing?
Yeah, I was in Japan for a little bit, toured a few cities out there, came back into town. I did a show. I do some of the Matthews Productions out in Las Vegas, some variety shows, and I basically, as soon as I got back into town, I got a call from Brett and said, yeah, all right, let's do it.
Right, but in Japan, I've worked in Japan myself. Like, they
nice.
really embrace magic. Like,
Yeah.
They love that unique. It has to be visual, though, I think. Visual and fast, they seem to like.
That was a really cool challenge, man. I actually was learning as much Japanese as I could. We scripted it out, and I had a friend over there who I was on Skype with for the weeks leading up to it, and I was working on saying, as much as I could in Japanese. And so I would go out, and I still even had a translator, but very visual stuff. And then I would try to speak Japanese, and they could tell I was trying, and I think they really liked that too. And it was a neat experience.
Did you work at a certain theater, a theme park,
or? We just did different venues in different cities. We went to Tokyo, Fukuoka, Oita City. In Oita, it was like an outdoor performance area, which was interesting, and that's where we broke the Japanese land record for the fastest escape from a straitjacket.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
you're just all about the records, right? You're going to try something else next year, right?
I've got another world record that we're planning on doing. We're looking at Memorial Day weekend, so we're laying the foundation right now, and that's going to be that'll be a big one too. And then I've got a couple other ideas in the works. So.
Yeah. So, have you always performed professionally? Did you do anything else before? Like a lot of magicians that I've talked to and stuff, like they, did this part-time and this part-time.
Well, when I first got out of college, I did a little bit of bartending actually at the Magic Castle in Hollywood.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Just kind of, it let me network, meet some other magicians, and that was cool. I was still performing and taking gigs out in LA.
Yeah.
I actually, then I got to a point where I was full time pretty quick, and then it kept growing. And then Spellbound was the reason that I moved out to Vegas, was to be closer to the producer. And
was that the big break? Because there's always one moment.
Yeah, that was that moment where it's like you're getting called up to the big leagues, and then you walk out in front of all these people, and just the first time doing a show in an arena, and that was intense. That was, it's like, all right, I can do this.
Well,
so that was a big moment.
You hope so. Well, working in Branson and doing magic here, the community is kind of weird about some of that stuff. Like I've learned from experience, you have to be careful how you portray magic, let's say. But you're an escape artist, so that's a little bit different. But I know like mentalism, things like that, it's a little hard to sell in Branson sometimes. People are very skeptical of it just because of the types of people we get. Have you run into anything like that at the show?
We haven't really, and we're pushing that we're family friendly. And I still, some of the other guys I've mentioned, like Mike Bliss, or I haven't been able to mention yet, is Mike Bliss, and then Reza, you mentioned. They're different specialties. Like Reza's doing some of the larger illusion stuff, but he also is doing mentalism. And then Mike's doing the comedy magic. With these types of things, we're pushing that we're family friendly and that we're illusionists. It's not real magic.
It's not spiritualism or something like that.
I think because of the family vibe, though, I think people get it, and no one's really pushed us with any of that. A guy like Mike Bliss, who's kind of a a Branson staple, like he's a family friendly guy too, and I just don't feel like people see our show and they're like, oh gosh, it's real magic.
Yeah, right.
These guys are real fun. They don't want to push it. So no one's asked us that, as far as I know.
Well, that's
I haven't
good.
seen it, so.
Yeah, because you have to watch some of that. I mean, around here, it's just unique, and I've seen performers that just have to revamp their acts a little bit, and you're not reading minds, you're making a prediction, that sort of thing, and that sort of stuff. But you said you were a bartender for a while doing magic.
Very brief moment, yeah.
Like
brief.
one day.
It was like a few months. It was like a summer. And it was awesome. It was just when I got out of college, and yeah, my degree too was in economics, which is kind of funny. Like I have an economics degree and I'm a magician. So
yeah. I have psychology, anthropology.
See, but those are great for magic, though. I feel
sometimes
that's a great fit. You know?
People always ask. They say, "What do they have to do with each other?" And actually a lot, a lot. Yeah. Because like you guys, I when I've seen the show, you interact with the audience a lot. Where some of the performances that I saw around here when I first came in, you might as well be watching them on TV because it's just all scripted. It's the music and silent. And that's why a kid in your show, he does a silent act. I couldn't do that. There's just, I've tried in the past. Yeah. And you just sometimes, especially when the audience is reacting a certain way, you just want to say something, Yeah. But just that interaction with the audience makes it unique. And here in Branson, that's another thing that's odd, is that the audiences don't see that wall between performers and the audience. Like I myself have had people just walk up or say things to me, carry on a conversation with me and stuff at the show. And I know some of the routines you guys were doing were right down in the audience. I remember cups and balls and some other stuff that you guys were doing right down in there. But I know that you guys have also gained quite a following, because I get a lot of people online and at our show that talk highly of the Revollutionist show. And it always seems to be busy when I come out and visit and that sort of thing. But what really got you interested in magic? I mean, people ask that all the time. Did you get a magic kit? Did you have somebody that got you into it?
Yeah, for me, it was a trip to Disneyland as a kid. I was 10 years old, and my grandmother, she went to the magic shop, and she ended up buying me a couple of decks of cards and a little magic book, and it was really cheesy magic stuff, Right. But I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. I started doing shows for the family there while we were in town on vacation, and it was bad, but but I loved it, and I ran with it, man. The next summer, my family, we drove around the country on another vacation. And I was constantly reading and just getting into it. Next thing I knew, I was 11 years old doing birthday parties, and
oh wow,
I was making a little bit of money. It wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
I was 11, and that's just how it kept growing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Now, so you got into it with the magic kit and all that. What did you, at that age, did you know what you wanted to be? Did you have any idea you were going to become a professional magician?
That point in time, not necessarily, but I did know within the next few years that it would be pretty cool to maybe do this. For a job.
Isn't it kind of weird? Like every once in a while, you just think, I'm doing something that kids dream of being. You forget it sometimes because the business side gets to overshadowing the performance side sometimes. And just every once in a while, I have that moment like, almost every kid wanted to do magic growing up, and here we are, making a living doing it.
Yeah. Even when you get caught up in the business side of it, and you are, a little distracted, like you realize it's still a job. But I still on a regular basis, I still pinch myself. I'm like, hey, I got it pretty good, man. I'm a magician. That's my job.
Yeah, right.
When you're really the best time though is just when you're up there on stage and just having fun with the audience. And
right.
You're just like, this is my job. That's cool.
But have you ever been out and like I know filling out an application, a credit application or something in their occupation. And you put,
A credit application, a magician.
and they always look at me like, really? Like, but the number one thing they say to me is, oh, my kids would love to see you. Like, that always bothers me.
Me too.
Yeah.
People think that sometimes, that's that stigma we got to fight, is that they think that we're just, that the art is for kids, and
bunny out of the hat.
That's when I flip it. That's when I like to flip it on them. And that's when you go after the adults and you blow their mind and bring them back to
right.
what they felt like when they were kids seeing magic. And
major pet peeve of mine is people come out and say, my kids love the show, and well, what about you?
There you go.
But yeah, because they just picture magicians with the top hat, with all that, and I'm sure you get the same comments all the time, cut my wife in half, make somebody disappear, all that sort of stuff. And it's annoying, isn't it?
Well, that's what's also been cool about the Revollusionists, is we have had a lot of people come up to us and say, this is not what we expected at all. Because I think they're thinking, oh, it's going to be a magic show. The kids will like it. And sometimes they'll get tickets for the kids, and then you'll see it most of the time. It is the adults, the parents walking out being like, wow, we didn't expect this. This was a great time. Best show that we've had this week, and that's been cool.
Right. So. Right. Now, what kind of background did you have? Were you in high school, let's say? Were you shy? Were you?
I'm actually a really mellow guy. I'm very easygoing. And in high school, I played a lot of sports growing up. I played a lot of sports, and that kept me very busy. And that was my social release too. But I was not the kind of guy that needed or wanted a lot of attention either. I was just kind of whatever. I was an easygoing guy, and for some reason though, magic, whenever I would perform, it was just that one time where I was like, okay, now it's a party. I'm hosting it. I'm leading the party. I'm going to make sure everybody has a good time. Let's do this.
Right.
And it just, that was me. My personality, would be, maybe I'm a 5 on a normal day hanging out, and that was just me dialed up, and it's just always kind of been that way.
So would you say that on stage, that's you, or is it a character?
It absolutely is me. I mean, I fully understand my character on stage, who I am on stage, but that character is just me.
It's you.
Just dialed up a little bit. That's really all it is.
Because so many people around here that I've talked to, they're completely different off stage.
Really?
Yeah, and the public, Branson's unique in that you'll see the performers just hanging out at, shopping and at Walmart and stuff like that. I thought that was weird the first time I came here and stuff. I wasn't used to that. But people expect you to be on all the time. And I found that to be a problem.
Really?
Yeah, because my onstage personality is
totally different.
It's
really?
Not my offstage personality. And so people always think that I'm angry at them or I'm rude. Or I don't know. It's hard to explain. So, I mean, that's great if that's you on stage. That works out perfectly.
I think I'm pretty lucky that way, and that it is me. But because I'm a little more mellow, I think if I ever was to maybe confuse somebody, it might be, they do expect maybe a little bit more, high energy. But I'm still very I'm always grateful to meet people that have seen the show and just, they can still tell it's me. I'm just not I'm not necessarily as animated.
You're not in a straitjacket.
Yeah, I'm not in a straitjacket.
Normally.
I'm not hanging upside down. And
Yeah. Now, doing the straitjacket, do you ever, you don't have the audience. Do they buckle you in? I don't remember.
We've done different variations. Right now in the show, if you came tonight, I bring a guy up on stage. He does get locked up in the thumb cuffs for that version, but for the jaws portion, because right now we're using a posy straitjacket, it's just so difficult to explain to them how to lock me up. It takes so long that we do have them inspected thoroughly just to show that it's solid, and we have 2 of our guys lock me up and it's snug. He also, the volunteer also, we walk him around the jaws, make sure he inspects it, checks it all out. But we have, for a good part of the season, had someone actually lock me up in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
Because that can always be entertaining too.
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah. I've seen some pretty entertaining things with that, getting the people up there. But I've also seen where, like you said, sometimes they can't figure it out. And it ends up taking longer than the escape, a lot longer than the escape.
And we're trying to keep it pretty snug right now because we're adding new routines and whatnot. But we've definitely had, a little bit of a comedy approach to locking up and it gets entertaining. Sometimes we've had literally 4 people up there helping get me in it, and it can be fun going that route. And we may still bring that back. We'll see.
Have you ever had any issues actually getting out? Have you had any problems?
I've had some adventures.
Yeah.
Sure. There was a show, we were doing a 3-night run, actually, at Cal State, and the jacket got locked up in just a certain way where it was just very, very difficult for me to get out. I was also operating with, I use restraint mitts. I think I'm the only escape artist in the world that I've ever seen do it. I don't know of anyone else that is, but I have escape mitts, and there's plates in them and everything, and I actually was having so much trouble getting out and putting so much force on it that I snapped one of the plates in the jacket, and it just took a lot of extra work. And it was also timed to music, so I can get out pretty quick, and it was about 3 minutes in, and I was out of music.
Right.
So what I did instead was there was no music. I was sweating everywhere. It was kind of awkward for a slight moment. I don't know if the audience felt that, but I felt it. So then I just stood up and I just said, "I need your help, guys." And then I started hitting the ground with my foot. And I said, I got them clapping with a beat. And I knew I was close to figuring it out. And then I got out, threw it down, and just worked out really well. But I was nervous.
Yeah, that's one problem, having the audience buckle you in. Every once in a while you'll get somebody that wants to be the center of attention. Mm-hmm. And just from experience, I've had people actually tie it, or you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, you get the knee in the back, you get the extra.
But I've had people knot it and stuff, so that even if I get the buckles undone, there was no way, especially the center strap, and there was no way I was going to get out. And like you, when I've performed, I use Posey, and I have one that's supposed to fit pretty snug. And the one story I had was. Went on a cruise ship and worked for a while. Didn't do my straight jacket on the cruise ship, just actually because it got lost. The airline lost it. Worked on a cruise ship for 2 months, came back, never rehearsed because I'd been doing it for years, and decided to do it in the show, and didn't realize I had gained a little bit of weight. And got buckled in and immediately realized there was no way. There was just no possible way, because my shoulders were just too wide. I couldn't do it. I had to do everything. And like you said, I mean, it became a comedy bit, which for me works because I do comedy in the show, and when I do a routine, if it doesn't work, the audience just thinks that's part of the show. I play it off as a guy that's trying to do magic, but you're pretty serious. I mean, I've seen your thumb cuff escape, but for the most part, you're pretty serious in the show. And that would be a little bit different, trying to recover from that.
Yeah, the tone of the show, like the escape stuff, is a little more serious. So it would be a tough sell for me to get away with it there, but yeah, that's great that you had that option. You were able to pull that off.
Well, I didn't have a choice. I did not have a choice at that point. It was very embarrassing.
That's the thing though too, is I respect that you're using a real jacket too, because most magicians really do use gimmicked fake ones, and 99% of the magicians do, and
doesn't it aggravate you?
It does a little, but at the same time, I get it. And, we're performers. We're also illusionists, and some guys are going to have to do that to pull it off.
I guess. To me, I don't know. I'll be honest. When I first started doing it, I had a gimmicked one. It got lost. The airlines. I still don't have it. It's been 5 years.
You're not bitter.
No. Imagine when I filled out the report for the airlines and they said, "What are you missing?" Handcuffs, shackles, thumb cuffs, straight jacket, and a gag. And funny story was, years later, I did a convention for the airlines, and just talking in the show, I talked about that, and someone came up to me and said, "I helped with your report. It got passed around. Weren't you also missing?" And listed a few things that I didn't mention in the show. And I said, "Yes." And he said, "I'm the one that would process that."
Really?
And it became like a big joke. He said, "We passed that around. We thought, what is this guy doing?" So what ended up happening with me is I needed a straitjacket. So I called around. And I'll be honest, I was trying to find the gimmick one because mine is comedy. And so I'm not playing it real serious. and they didn't have one. All they had was a regular real posy. And so I ordered it in, and over the phone they said, well, here's a couple of tips and this and that to get you started. And ever since I did that, I never turned back, because it's just so much. It's fun. I don't know.
Nice.
It's a challenge every day, and it makes it unique. And so now when I see a gimmicked one, yeah, it bothers me. It bothers me. Like, come on, practice. But in the world record, in the Guinness thing, you're not using anything special like that.
No, that's all they'll allow is just the real posy. That's it.
So I wonder how long ago was the record set for that? Do you know?
And one of the articles came out was 2011, but I thought it was actually more recent for this particular record. I thought it was like within the last couple of years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And do you know the performer that had it? Was he a magician as well, or just?
It is Soft Romero is her name. She's out of Europe.
Oh, her.
Yeah, and she, as far as I know, is not actually a magician or I don't think she really does
just a
it
hobby
for a living.
Yeah.
I think she just really likes straight jackets and decided she was going to try to go after records, and that's all I know. Like I haven't seen a lot about her performing outside of that, so
I haven't heard
I don't know much about her background, to be honest.
No. Oh, interesting. That'll be interesting once I'm sure you'll hopefully set the record there.
Hopefully we'll get it. We've been training. We've been doing like intervals, kind of like we did 20 minutes and then we did 40 minutes this past week. And right now, like, I'm just glad I got out of the 40-minute one without any serious neck strain or anything. Cause
it's a lot of work.
We've had some neck issues, and it's been an adventure. You get beat up when you're constantly putting it on and taking it off. Like, I thought I'd be fine, and I was rocked up pretty good from it. But I think we're good at the 40 minutes. Like, we're on pace. It's going to be tight. I think with adrenaline we'll be good, as long as I don't run into any trouble. There was a couple of jackets that did make it interesting, because we're going to be giving away some straight jackets at this event. We're actually
something for the kids. There you go.
Yeah, take it home, enjoy it, have fun.
That's part of the new healthcare. Here, can't afford the Ritalin anymore.
Yeah, but it's we're basically giving them a souvenir that'll be a part of history, basically.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're stoked about that.
Yeah, well, something for the kids. That's just great. Now, during off season here in Branson, you probably get a few months off. Yep. And do you perform? Do you just relax? Do you stretch?
I'll go back home to Vegas. I'm going to be developing some more material for next season, and I'll be spending some time in LA as well. Got a few meetings out there for some other projects.
Bartending gigs and
stuff. No bartending anymore. That was a while ago now. But a little bit of work out there. I'll get some downtime too. Go see some family.
Now the Magic Castle, real quick, was where you were bartending, you said, and I've performed there. I've been there several times, and I mean, that's a upper scale audience for the most part, the bar. But did you ever work at like a regular public bar or anything like that, trying to perform? Because I think alcohol and magic is unique. I always say the two groups that I have to be careful with are people that have drank too much and kids, because they tend to think very simply about things, and they're usually right, to tell you the truth, because lots of times after a show, a complicated routine, people come out, I'll ask them, well, what's your theory? How do you think it was done? And it's always so complicated. It's always electronics and all this. I have to laugh, because usually it's, no, I looked over here while I was doing this with this hand. I don't tell them. But drunks, I'm sorry, not drunks.
Heavily intoxicated people.
Yes. But they tend to figure things out quite a bit. Have you had that experience at all?
I don't know. I know a lot of magicians joke that usually the magic can be more impressive the more that they're enjoying the evening. But I haven't really had that so much with kids though. It's funny because their imagination, they may not know how something's done, but their guesses can be very entertaining sometimes.
Yeah, they are.
But I don't know. I think sometimes it's kind of fun when people are enjoying the night that way, and I don't know. I can't say I've really had too many issues with it. Like the only thing is trying to keep people in line sometimes. Like they get a little rambunctious.
Want to grab things, and
you just got to keep them under control.
Yeah, audience management, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of magicians that come to the show? We do. Know of?
We do. Yeah. A lot of magicians have come through this year, and that's been cool. Meeting some of the guys that I haven't been able to meet yet.
A lot of local people, I'm sure. I mean,
a lot of locals have come through.
Quite a few in the area.
So that's been cool. Get to know some of the local guys in town that are coming through, and then just this part of the country. Like I'm really based on the West Coast. A lot of my work's on the West Coast. I feel like I've gotten to know a lot of magicians out there. So it's been neat to have some other people come through here.
Kind of doomed myself the first week I was here with magic, because I went to the local magic shop and introduced myself, and they said, "Oh, we're having a magic club meeting this weekend. How about you come and judge our annual competition?" I thought, "Oh, that's fun. Good to meet people." Yeah. And so I went, and 10 people performed or something, and I ended up giving the award to someone because I thought their act was hysterical and had some magic in it, but it was really funny. And so one person was real happy. 9 other people that practiced all year hated me. And the one that I liked was a guy that tried to do a guillotine, and it got locked and jammed on the volunteer, and they had to stand him up, and he had this giant guillotine on, and they're trying to pry it off. And I thought it was hysterical. Like, it ended up being the most entertaining act, not necessarily the most magical. And
so were you the only judge? You had no help?
Yeah, pretty much.
See that? Oh man, they should have had like a couple more judges. It's kind of a little more anonymous.
There was no anonymity there. Oh man! And so there was a couple of them that I still see out, and that's been almost 10 years ago. I'll be out and I'll say, "Oh, I'm so and so. Yeah, I remember you judged my act, and you picked the kid that got stuck in the guillotine." Like that. They still bring it up, but for the most part, they're pretty welcoming. And I tend to think one thing that happens with magicians that come to the show is they always say, "Oh, you could do this move," or "Why are you doing this?" or what, and they want they're those move monkey type people that just too much work. And I don't know if you go to many magic lectures or anything, but Aldo Colombini one time.
I saw him when I was a kid lecture, actually.
Yeah, I met him years ago, went to his lecture, and he made a good point. He said, "I'm not going to spend months learning a particular lift if I can use a double face card or whatever." He said, "It's about the effect that ends up happening. That's what the audience remembers." And I think that's true. I think the whole key is to entertain and not make it complicated, and not have these giant glittery props and stuff that come out. To me, that becomes a puzzle to people where it's you and a straight jacket on stage. It's you and thumb cuffs or what have you.
And that's a big, you're right on. That's a big thing for a lot of magicians, both close up and stage. And when I'm talking to other magicians, one of the big points I like to make is, as magicians, we lose sight of the fact that we're up there for the audience. It is, like you're saying, it's not about the moves that go into it. Like Aldo said, it's about the end result. It's about fooling them. And everything we do up there, ultimately, it's for our audience. It's not for us. It's for them. And as long as you stay focused on that, man, it creates better magic, better entertainment. And like there's always a way to, whatever you're doing, as long as you're getting away with it, you're fooling them. That's,
right.
Who cares if you have I joke with some of the close-up guys. I joke with like Luca, like, who cares if you have a, technical move that takes all these months to do. Like I've got some of the most simple cuts, and I like to shuffle cards and throw them around everywhere. And they're like, "Dude, that's sloppy, man.
Right.
Like, why don't you, It's like, dude, it's cooler though. They're flying everywhere. There's no way I can be tracking cards or know what's going on, And I'm having fun with the audience when I do it. It's part of my character too, and who I am.
And it doesn't look like you're doing a move.
Yeah, like when you do this thing, and you cards are like flipping all over your fingers. It looks suspicious to me. You know? When I'm the guy that's shuffling, like I'll just do a standard overhand shuffle. This is how you guys shuffle. That's how I tell the audience.
Right.
So I just dropped a card. I'll pick it up. I'll put it in. You know?
Well, I don't try to do that. I really can't shuffle cards. And so when I shuffle, it looks like a mess because it is a mess. And but I think that's much more relatable. And you guys certainly do have a show that that the audience relates to, and you have the big thing this weekend. And so what time is the show?
We've got the 2 shows. The world record event's going to be at 2 p.m. We'll have a VIP meet and greet at 1 p.m. And then for the people that are buying tickets to the world record event, they're also going to get a free ticket into the Revollusionist show Saturday night at 8 p.m. So
2 and
pretty
8,
cool
like
deal.
All-day
so
event.
So you can come see both shows and come see me break the world record, then come see the rest of us as a team, the Revolutionists, kind of do our thing and showcase our specialties as a group.
Great.
It's a good time.
All right. Well, good talking to you. Good luck on the world record, and I'm sure you'll get quite a following there. And
Thank you.
Music City Center, right?
Yep, Music City Center.
Revollusionist website. You got a website?
We're just at musiccitycenter.com right now. Yeah. So musiccitycenter.com. Check us out. You can call the box office there, and we'll set you up.
All right.
See everybody
Good
there.
job.
So
Thanks
thanks
for
so much.
coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
I appreciate
you.
it.
Bye-bye.